Hey, ladies, welcome to this week's Tell It Like It TIS Thursday. It is the first Wednesday of March, which happens to be International Women's Day month. Um, I come to you with some kind of emotions. Let me first start by saying I am Kiana Renee, your sexy coach. If you're just starting to follow me or join me, I am the curator of the Sexy Breakthrough series, which actually is starting next Friday on March the 19th. I am also the curator of Kiana I Am Woman's. I Am Woman's page on Instagram and on YouTube. Just a little bit about me. I come on here just very much unpolished. I turn the camera on and we just roll and let things just go. So, yeah, I may be fumbling over my words much like I am now because I got something to say and I have some things on my heart that I want to share on today. And so, because of that, I'm a little I'm slowing myself down and not talking as much so that I can put my words together. So again, I'm Kiana Renee, your sexy coach, and Tell It Like a TI is Thursday. We've been doing for several years now, and I get on here and I hold you up a little bit and hold a space for you as I share some things that I've been given to share. So today I want to talk about your history, your story. Again, this is International Women's Day, and I see a lot of posts on social media where women are honoring other women, speaking about their legacies and maybe even things that they have invented over the years. But it's pictures and information where we're able to celebrate what someone has done and has left behind for us to partake in. And so I come here on today feeling very emotional. One, because we're, depending on where you live, coming up on a year of being stay at home, the pandemic, shut down, COVID. And in with that, I can't believe, one, that it's been a year. Know the time. Yeah, the time has flown by because we've encountered some things along the way with illness, sickness, deaths, civil unrest, crazy presidential administration, elections. We've had a lot. We've dealt with a lot. We've had to juggle a lot during this year. And for once in my life, have I noticed that we were all on the same page, no matter what your gender was, no matter what your political stance was, no matter what religion you are or not, no matter the age. Adults, children, elderly, and the like, we all were feeling the same thing at one point in time, if not the entire time, and probably still do somewhat. Us adults had very little guidance to give children during this time, and it was a time where we all were at the same starting point of trying to figure this out. I'm grateful for where we have come for this past last year, but I'm also emotional about it as well because, there are so many things that were lost, whether you had a family member that died during this time, whether it was from COVID or not. The way how we said goodbye was different, with not being able to come together and celebrate a life. And, you stuck with having to give those goodbyes the best way that you know how. So this isn't going to be a long, sad post, but I'm acknowledging my feelings and getting them out and sharing them with you because they're real. And what I want to talk about today again is her story, your story. And I want to just ask you, because the pandemic is very relevant into what I'm asking, is for a year we were in a limited, type of living. And you weren't able to go to work. Your social life and how you communicated with people was changed. And so I want to just say that 2020 was the year of change, and we all changed, no matter the age. And so, what changed in your life that creates your story, your legacy? As you see women, and maybe even you yourself, as posting different women that have gone and made history, what have you done within this last year, or what have you working on? What did you allow to be birthed during this time for you that's creating your legacy and creating a story that you leave behind? And I just want you to ponder on that. And if you've not done anything, and maybe your calling isn't something that is so great and significant, where, like the next person, maybe you didn't write a book, maybe you didn't start a business, perhaps maybe you didn't start a cooking channel or a podcast. But what did you do? Did you go out and cook meals for the homeless? Did you put care packages together for them? Maybe perhaps you went and fed the first responders. But what is it, or what have you done during this time that creates your own legacy, which is your story? And maybe your story wouldn't get, a story, a frontline newspaper, or maybe your story isn't something that's covered on the news. But I can tell you one thing, whatever that you've done, being spreaded by word of mouth is even far greater, because it's not just a story that was aired, but it's a story that lives when you have people who are able to share and talk about, yeah, I remember when, Miss Mary was down here, and she was down here every night, doing X, Y, and Z for, the members during the pandemic, or, whatever the case may be. But what I want to share is, what are you doing to leave a legacy and a story of your life after you are gone, after you have left here? What are you leaving us with? What will you leave those who are still here with? And so at the beginning of this International Women's Day, Women's Month, I was led to talk to us all about that, even myself, it made me think about, the things that God has me to do. And it made me think about it even a little bit more intensely on what legacy I want to leave for my community, for my family, for my church, just to, for work even, what am I doing? What am I going to allow myself to be? And to live, to leave for others. And so, what I do want to say is, what's your story? What's your story? And so I want to close by saying that I attended a conference in October, and I think it was called the Breathe Retreat. I may be messing it up, but it was hosted by one of my coaches, Melanie Foote Davis. And there was a girlfriend's night, and there were a few women who were in the room who were very successful, and they just had like a little chat, and the cameras were rolling, and we were introduced to some women. And I know a couple people who were friends with this young lady. Her name was Nikki Hall. I didn't know her personally, but when I was on this virtual retreat, I connected with her. And sadly, she made her transition. And you know, it's neither here nor there as to what happened with her. However, she shared about how she was an asset to her job. She worked in a cosmetic industry where she was the only African American woman that was pretty much holding it down, and she was tired of that. She climbed the ranks, and she wanted to climb the ranks and bring others along with her to where she was no longer going to be the only African American woman in her department and in her company. And so I'm her transition, and the celebratory of her life is coming. But just the fact that I was able to be introduced to her virtually and to share a virtual space with her where she touched my life. She made me recognize that I am an asset in my own business, not only in my own company, my 9 to 5, my employment, and to make me think about things, differently. Not only was she involved in her work, but she also mentored. She mentored the people, not only her job, but she also, went and mentored HBCU graduates. And her thing was that she wanted to retire and be sitting on her porch or her swing and be looking at a newspaper and say, yep, I helped her get along. Yep, I helped her, be successful. I helped her move up. That was what her goal was. And that was what she wanted to do. And she talked about how she does great, how she was doing great in her work, but she wanted to do better so that, she can pick somebody up along the way and bring them with her. And so, although she didn't get to the place of retirement, but what she ultimately wanted was to say that she helped others, and she did. She spoke about that, and that was her current story that is now a living legacy of what she's done and what she leaves behind for us. So I just want to leave you with knowing that know that you are an asset. That was one thing that she taught us all on that retreat. And not only knowing that you're an asset, in order to become an asset, you got to be fully living. You got to know who you are. You got to not dim your light. I used to dim my light a lot and would be bashful or just be very extremely humble, and not celebrate myself, not celebrate myself for who I was and what I did. And not just at work, but just period across the board in my life. And once I recognized that, you know, who I am is what God created me to be, and that when I operated in that, I was doing what I was called to do, and that in itself allowed for me to have a light that was shined in a different manner where I was an asset to wherever it was that I was at. So I leave you with saying, be all in. Do what you do. Nikki Hall, she talked about how she mentored people at her job and she didn't get paid for it any extra. It was just what she was called to do. And I've come through the ranks of being employed and just saying, I'm only doing what I was told to do or what I was required to do and what my job description says. And that really touched homes for me because in my current job, my 9 to 5, I mentor, and it is not on I mentor other peers on various things at work, and it is not a part of my job description. But I'm not saying that in a manner to, it's not bragging or anything, but it's just about her story touches me in different ways because it's similar to what I'm doing. I've thought about like, okay, I'm mentoring people and, why am I doing this? I'm not going to do it anymore, but I continue to do it, even when I don't want to, I'm being pulled, and it's not that I don't want to do it because that's just what I am. I'm a coach, and that's one of my gifts, is helping people and mentoring and teaching and facilitating. That's all one and the same. And so I just want to encourage you to find out what you are good at and do it. Don't worry about whether or not the pay is there, because the benefits of what we do that comes natural to us often comes in other ways, and that we couldn't even imagine, that are far greater than what we could imagine as well, and that could be far greater than the dollar amount that they could add to your check. That could, they add it to your check, and then what happens? It gets eaten up by taxes or other things. So go all out, do what you do. And if you don't know what your purpose is, I highly encourage you to, to DM me and let's talk. The Sexy Breakthrough Series, is one of those things, one of those programs that will even help you to, live out loud, go all in, figure out what it is that you do well. One of the things that I do well is I'm able to see things in people, and I'm able to see and help others on their journey, on their pathways. It's no secret, and Nikki even talked about, just, somewhat bragging on yourself, of what you do. It's not being conceited. It's just what it is. I've had the Sexy Breakthrough series, or I've had some women's coaching programs for over the last 6 years, and have birthed about 7 different businesses in that time frame by them sitting underneath my coaching, and they all do very well. I'm not in that business of bragging and just showing out and just say, hey, look at me, look what they've done. That's not my style. I'm here to support you, and if you know me, you know that is what I do. My support doesn't always have to be with, shining lights and posting and tagging and all that. That's not what I do, and that's not who I am. But I live and I love intimate spaces and sharing them with people who are ready, to make moves, and we make moves together. I don't dictate what you do. I help usher you into higher places that you were called to be in. And we sit at the table, we brainstorm, and if it's a group session, it becomes so magnetic, it's unbelievable. All of the groups that I've had, it's been what, three groups now, I believe. Yeah, 3 groups, and they all still talk. We we get together, I don't post it, and that's not what I do. And like I said, there's so much camaraderie, and there's such of a womanhood that takes place that is just unbelievable. So anyhow, the Sexy Breakthrough series is coming. If it at any point in time resonated with you, go on ahead and just fill out the application in my bio, and let's make this work. But what's your story? Your story is her story. Her story is your story. And what is your story that you're leaving? So happy International Women's Month. And we'll see what next week's message will bring us. Have a good one.